Well, it's a little bit of both, but really anything that Republicans want to talk about, what it really illustrates is all the things that they are bending over backwards to avoid actually addressing and confronting. Whether it's the 500,000 plus dead Americans from COVID, whether it's the insurrection of January 6th that resulted in the murder of law enforcement, whether it's social injustice and unrest and police brutality against minorities in this country, whether it's hate crimes against people who look like me that is on the rise right now and becoming a national crisis. These are the things that warrant national conversations, but Republicans time and again have shown us that rather than address those issues, rather than become partners in the effort to try to solve these very real societal problems, they would rather talk about Mr. Potato Head. They would rather talk about things like whether it's monuments, whether it's so-called invasions at the border, whether it's Benghazi dressed up as congressional oversight. We have seen this pattern going back from when Barack Obama was president to where we are right now of Republicans throwing anything they can out there to try to distract their constituency, their base, from realizing that they have been conned by following the Republican Party. This party that doesn't want to give those people, the working class white Americans we always hear about, they don't want to give them a $15 minimum wage. They don't want to give them common sense solutions to avoid getting a deadly virus that will kill them. They would rather get you outraged about nonsensical things that aren't real controversies, and they aren't cancel culture. They're choices. They're decisions that were made by voluntary means, not through being compelled by big government, not through being shamed into it. The estate of Dr. Seuss made this decision freely, voluntarily, of their own free will. That's something that Republicans used to celebrate. They used to say, we don't need big government. We can make our own choices. We believe in personal responsibility, individual freedom and liberty. And when we see that now being exercised, Republicans are the ones who want to cancel that.
Yeah, see, a lot of people have their power canceled in Texas, but, the Republican Party wants to talk about something else. Brittany, something else that I think is key here is for public narrative's sake, it's important that we make a distinction between people being held accountable and people being canceled. Being held accountable is you got busted for something, you broke the law, and therefore you should go to jail. Being canceled is something else entirely. What's an example that you can think of where these two things are sort of being conflated? Because, look, when I see a Republican possibly going to jail, when I see people who are protesters possibly going to jail, that's not cancel culture, that's consequences, right?
Consequences is exactly what this is. And I think the most important example here is actually democracy, that we are holding people accountable because we elected them to do a job. We elected them to actually serve the people and the constituents that voted for them and the ones that didn't vote for them, because that's what you sign up for when you decide to be a public servant. You derive your power from the people, and you are supposed to be in service of the people and their power every single day that you were in office. So being held accountable to that should make you uncomfortable. That's the job you signed up for. And we should talk about what is actually cancel culture. What's gross here is that the people who are perpetuating cancel culture are Republicans. There are 253 bills that have been introduced in 43 states where members of the GOP across this country are attempting to cancel our votes. That is the bedrock of democracy, the very thing they pledge allegiance to, the thing that they say we should believe in when they try to force us to stand up for their national anthem. So let's get real about what's actually being canceled here versus what should be being canceled here.
I was talking about cancel culture on my New Slate podcast, Kurt. We were talking about this earlier. The other thing that I think is missed in these cultural arguments is that it's being used to fundraise. That Republicans, when they are not providing people with a $15 minimum wage, are then going to them and saying, send me $25, send me $100 to battle cancel culture. So really, is this just boiling down to another way to raise money off of people in the middle of a pandemic after Republicans have perhaps lost other forms of financial support?
Listen, all that we have seen from the Republican Party during this time of Trump being the leader and the face of the party is them milking their core constituency for tens of millions of dollars and delivering them nothing but basically a death sentence. And again, I call it is the ultimate con, that the very people that they pander to, this so-called working class, hard working family values, white voters, these are the people that they could never get in to the Trump Hotel. They can never get in to all of these great luxurious properties that they hold all these confabs at. They make fun of these people. They are using them, and they are using them to raise money and enrich themselves. It is the ultimate grift, the Republican Party right now. Get them to send $5, $10, $15, and then go on and vote against policies that would actually help these people. And they are calculating that they'll never wake up and they'll never get it, and they'll keep using them like a human ATM machine in perpetuity.